So I've now logged into the admin console, and I just want to show you how I've got my practice school set up and talk to you about some of the things you may want to do before you start the migration process. So in this demonstration, we're going on the basis that we've already been sharing evidence with the online parent accounts for some time. So if I go to Parent Services at the top and then click on Parent Services, in my practice school, I was enabling all the options through the online parent accounts, so they're all switched on. When we migrate it across to the family app, it will try and match as close as possible to the current permissions you've got. So when I migrate it across, if you've got different permissions here, so yours may look slightly different. I'm not advising that you change anything on terms of your permissions on the online accounts. It's just to point out they might look different than in the demonstration. If I go to System Data top left and then click on Learners, as we've been sharing evidence through the online accounts for some time, we have got lots of parent information, including their email addresses, already in the system. The migration process over to Evidence for Learning is for each family user, one at a time opportunity, really. So what you may want to do is, if, for example, you want to set up for Arif Khan, the learner, just here, say you want to be able to use this as an opportunity before we migrate the information across from parent 1 and parent 2 to the family user, where we manage it in the web console. You may want to come to System Data and Learners, export your current learner list, and update any of the blank fields if you want to be able to create the second family user for the second parent. So you'd use that as an opportunity potentially to export your learner's details into the Excel spreadsheet, add in any further family details where the blanks are, including first name, last name, and email address, and then importing it back in before you started your migration process to the family user app. The other thing you may just want to review before you continue is we go to System Data top left and click on Tags. So I'm now on the tag screen. And again, when you migrate it across, one of your options is to share evidence and include the tags on a shared piece of evidence, excluding any internal use tags. So you may just want to use it as an opportunity before you migrate across to review which are your internal use tags and which was your parent use tags. But you can always edit this at a later date too. So what we are going to actually now go and do is switch over to the web console, and we're going to start to set up our new family users. So I've now logged into the web console. And as I'm an administrator to the web console, when I hover over admin at the top right, I also have a user manager option. And I'm going to click on user manager now. We then have our school users, and this is a demonstration school, so you'll have many more members of staff at your school already set up. This screen hasn't changed in the way it's being used, but what you have now got is a new family users tab. So I'm going to click on the family users tab. So we're now on the family users tab. And when I was sharing evidence already, I had a test learner and I was the parent of that test learner. And that's going to be the first account that I want to set up. If you haven't already got a test parent account, then you could always create in the admin console a test learner and set yourself up as a parent. You may already have one though, and lots of schools have. So what I'm going to do first of all is create my first user by clicking Create User on the right-hand side. You then have two options. So you can create a brand new user from scratch, or you can use existing P1 and P2 data in the learner records. P1 and P2 just stands for parent 1 and parent 2 data that's already in the admin console. So as I've already been sharing evidence for some time with my parents, I want to select that option and I want to use the existing P1 and P2 data in the learner records. So I'm just going to click Create. I'll then get a list of all the learners that have got parent details in within the admin console. And what I can then do is I can use the search function at the top to search for a specific learner. My email address was being used as in the old online test account, parent accounts. So what I can do is I can use the search box. Anything that matches the criteria will come up. So this is me being the parent of test learner 1, and this is my email address. So I want to create my first family account. So I'm just going to click Create on the right-hand side. And the first one's been created. If I wanted to in the future, I could just delete the box there and also use a different search. Or if I want to, I can just click Create on the right hand side to create a number of accounts, and every time I press create, it will create that account. Or what I can do is I can select when I'm ready to, maybe at a later date, all the learners and their family details in the system and create them all at once. But to start off with, I'd recommend just creating a handful. So as soon as I now click the cross at the top right, that first family user that I've created will come across. And so what we'll do is we'll look at this in more detail. So the family user is called Blake Peary. Their username is going to be their email address going forward. And this works completely separate to the online parent accounts. So if they wanted to, they could continue to access and log in to the online parent account using their unique login link and the password. But this now is a separate family user account, and therefore I now have a username for the first time. I can also see the family user's name, their email address, and that's the email address where the login details will be sent when we're ready. You can see that Blake Peary, the family user, has access to one learner at my school, and the learner's name is Test Learner 1. It's then tried to bring across as much of the permissions as we had already in the system. And we can just look at these and how we can edit them as well. So in terms of we've kind of broken this down into three broad areas. So view permissions, the first section, is all about what family users can see on a shared piece of evidence. So if the school shares a piece of evidence, what can family users see on the evidence? So the first one is view evidence, and that's the photos and videos. You can see that it's been selected as a tick, and that's brought it across. If I wanted all family members or family users to be able to see the photos and videos on any shared evidence, I just click on it and it goes green. If I didn't want anyone to see photos or videos, I'd click on it again and it would go red, and then for no family users would be able to. Or if I tap on it again, it goes grey, and that would be then means it'd be individualized to each family user. A tick would indicate that the family user can do it. Where there is no tick, that means that that family user wouldn't be able to do it. We'll look in a moment at advanced permissions, how you can bring through and hide different columns. But in my practice school, I do want all family users to be able to view evidence. So I'm going to select that by tapping it, it all becomes green. On any shared piece of evidence, I also want family users to be able to see the staff comment that they've added to the piece of evidence. View tags selected. What you can then do in terms of that, if you wanted to be able to review which ones there were, you could click edit on the right and be able to see which tags have been selected by clicking on the relevant box. What I'm actually going to do is I want to bring across in a moment some extra permissions. So I'm going to leave that as it is for now. View conversation. That's going to be really important if you want family members to be able to start a conversation. So when family members caption evidence, if you want them to also be able to start a conversation and add a comment from a family user, then they need to be able to see it. So they need to be able to view the conversation and also then be able to write it if that's what you want them to do. So in terms of view permissions, we're just going to stay in this area for now. If I click advanced permissions on the right hand side, I can then bring across different columns of access. And this won't automatically grant that permission, but it will give me the column that then I can select either all family users can do it, no family users can do it, or it'd be individual, it would be selected as grey. So if I wanted to, just to give you an example, if I did want to consider letting family members to be able to see the framework links that's been linked to a PLG on a piece of evidence, and it'd actually be only for those learners that they've got access to, their children, then what I would do is click where it says View Frameworks PLGs, I tick the box, and then I say Apply at the bottom right, and you can see it just brings across that column. And then I could select that either everyone could do that, no one, or individual. In this particular example, I actually want to hide that column, so I'm going to go back to Advanced Permissions, untick it, and then I'll just go through some of these different options. So View Frameworks is View Framework Links that's linked to a PLG. The next option is View Frameworks Links on a piece of shared evidence for non-PLGs. Or you can select specific frameworks that family users have permission to access. You can view tags all on a shared piece of evidence, or which I'm going to select the next one, which is view tags excluding internal use tags. So I want family users on a shared piece of evidence that we shared from the school with the family users to be able to see any tags except for internal use tags. I'm going to leave view to selected tags just for the time being. If I did want to bring across the column to be able to view indicators, then I'd be able to grant permission for that. And that would be relevant if you wanted to be able to select maybe the engagement indicator set. If you've been gathering information around engagement and you wanted to start to share that evidence with parents. So at the moment, though, that's what I'm going to select in terms of view permissions. Just going to say apply. So I do want all family members to be able to view tags excluding internal use. And again, partly so you can see how to leave something as red. I'm going to click on view tag selected, just leave that as red so no one can do that. But there'll be, this one would override it anyway, so that in terms of a shared piece of evidence, any tag that's been added to that shared piece of evidence, excluding internal use, would be displayed to family users. So the next area is around capture permissions. So this is around what family users can do when they're capturing evidence. And I do want family members to be able to capture photos and videos. I don't want them to be able to use selected tags, but I do want them to be able to start a conversation with school, add a family comment related to that piece of evidence. Again, if I wanted to, I could go back to advanced permissions. And there are other options to bring through in terms of columns of permissions around if I wanted use frameworks, PLGs. So that would actually allow family members to link evidence that they're uploading to the PLGs for their children, or use frameworks that aren't PLGs. Or again, I could select the specific frameworks that they have access to. If you wanted to, you could allow family users to be able to use all tags that are in your cloud, or all tags excluding internal use, or selected tags. And you also have the option of bringing across the column to be able to decide if family users can also start to gather indicator information, and that might be around engagement. So I'm going to leave those as they are for capture permissions for now and scroll further down. If you're on the EfL online workshop where we demonstrated the Evidence for Learning Family app, you'll see that we talked about applying and sharing the assessment books and what permissions you'll be able to do. These features will come live during the spring term. However, they're not currently live, so I'm going to leave all these columns unticked, and I can always bring these across as permissions, as columns, and then also grant the relevant permission as these become live in the future. So the next one we're going to look at is just miscellaneous permissions. So again, I want my family members to be able to view PDF documents that I share. In terms of view activities, I'm going to leave that live, leave that available for now. But to be honest, the activities aren't live within the family app yet. Again, we're expecting that to come live at the start of the spring term, so in the new year. I'm going to leave that as it is, so as soon as it is live, it'll be available. And I'm also going to leave the same in terms of view and write feedback. So I'm going to leave those columns selected and then just click apply. So because I want all family members to be able to do this, I'm going to just click these items to all be green. So once they are live in terms of view activities and view feedback and write feedback, family users will be able to do it. View PDF documents is already live, and therefore any shared documents that have already been shared through the online accounts will then be available in the family app. And that's the same in terms of any evidence that's already been shared with family members. They would then be able to see it going forward on the EfL family app. So we've now created our first family user. And what we can then see on the right-hand side, it works in a similar way to the school users. So there's no yellow exclamation mark here. If there was a yellow exclamation mark where it says active, that would indicate that this family user has never been sent a password, and we would need to select them and reset their password. However, in this case, they've already got an active status, so it means that I can log in to the family app using the password that I was already using to log into the online accounts. So in this case, then what we can do is select the family user on the left-hand side, and instead of saying reset password, what I'm actually going to tap is send credentials. And that therefore won't reset the password. It's just going to send them an email telling them that they can now log into the new Evidence for Learning Family app. So I'm going to click on Send Credentials and then click Send Credentials at the bottom right of the pop-up window. So I'm now sharing my iPad screen, And I could download the Evidence for Learning app on an iPhone or an Android device. In this case, I'm going to download it onto my iPad. So I'm going to tap on the App Store. And then you just enter in Evidence for Learning Family into the search box. To save time, I'm just going to paste it in. And then I'm just going to search for Evidence for Learning Family. It is important that they add family to the end so they don't end up downloading the school app. And then what they can see here is this is the Evidence for Learning Family app. You can see the Evidence for Learning logo, and it's clearly marked family within the icon. And then I'm going to tap the download icon on the right, and that'll just download. So the Evidence for Learning app has now downloaded, and then I'm just going to tap open to be able to open up the family app. So I'm now on the EfL family app sign-in page, and I'm going to enter in the school's domain. So the domain for family users to log in is the same domain that the school users use to log into the web console. So I'm going to enter in my school's domain. In the second box, then I'm going to enter in my username. So that is now my email address. And in the third box, I'm going to enter in the password that I was already using to access my online accounts before my family user account has been set up. So I've entered my password in there, and then the third box, and then I'm just going to tap sign in. So we've now entered the brand new Evidence for Learning family app. There are further guides and videos that will be coming and added to the Resource Centre in the near future. There's also the demonstration workshop that we did a few months ago now, and that's available within the EfL Online Resource Centre to help you navigate through the app. Just some things I'll just talk about when you first of all download the app for the first time. So the first thing is, once you go and tap on Capture, I'm going to select the learner that I want to add, so my child, so I'll press the plus. My test learner is called Test Learner 1, so I tap on their name and then tap Done at the top right. Then when family users want to be able to add a photo for the first time after download the app, they'll tap on the plus and they will then need to give relevant permission. So I'm going to say I want to take something from the library. I want to take a photo on this occasion. The bit I really want to show you is it's then going to say, okay, well, Evidence family would like to access the camera. So evidence can be captured using your device's camera. So family users then would select OK. They'll then also get an option to be able to allow Evidence for Learning family app to access the photos on their camera roll. So I'm going to select allow access to all photos. And as soon as I've tapped that, I can then access the camera roll. So I'm going to select this photo here. Then what I'd be able to do is be able to add a comment. So I'm just going to say, I'm just going to put demo, but that's where the family would add their family comment or start the conversation with school about what was going on in this particular evidence that they're uploading. And then what I'm going to do is then upload this to the cloud. This orange does work slightly differently than the school app. So it works in a similar way to when you're uploading evidence through the web console for a member of staff. So if a family user clicks save and it's on orange, it will still upload to the cloud. It may just then wouldn't show up in PDFs or assessment books. So it needs to be green or published to show up in those. But regardless of what they save it as, it will always be uploaded to the cloud in a similar way as when staff use the web console to be able to upload evidence. So I am going to turn it though to green. And you might get your family users just in the habit of doing that, but make clear that whichever way they press save, it will always be uploaded to the cloud. So then when I press save at the top right, just let the Zoom catch up for a moment, there we go. We'll get a notification to say that the evidence has been uploaded, and I just tap OK. And then I'll be able to see that in various places. So I'll be able to tap on the evidence button to be able to see that piece of evidence. What I really want to show you now, because you'll be able to play around with the family app yourselves, is tap on the home icon. And one thing that might be useful for you to demonstrate and maybe include screenshots for your family users when they're first of all setting it up is if they've only got one child at the school, and it would make sense for them to set up the default learner. So then every time they go to capture evidence, they don't have to pick their child, or every time they go to search for evidence, they don't have to select their only child at the school. So I'm going to tap on the learner profile icon just here. This works slightly differently than it does in the family app. In this option, the icon allows them to set the default learner. So if I only had one child at Sunny Hill School, I would tap on my child's name and then tap done at the top right. If I had siblings and I had 2 children at the school or more, then obviously I wouldn't set the default learner. I'll just select the relevant one at each time. But now if the family user goes to collect and tap on capture to collect some evidence, you'll see that the learner, their child, is automatically populated. Other things I just want to show you, and I'll let you play around with the quick buttons at the bottom to see where you can locate the evidence on the evidence button, or any PDF documents that were already shared. I'm just going to tap on more at the bottom right for now. And again, this is where family users could then tap on profile settings. Family users then would be able to click on change password, and then they could change their password if they needed to. So they could enter in their current password and then a new password twice to be able to set a new password up. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen there. So I've just returned back to the home screen of the family app. And there'll be more guides and videos on how to use the family app being added to the Resource Centre in the coming weeks. Do have a go yourselves, and if you've got any questions at all, you can always contact us. But what I will do for now is go back across now to the web console to then show you how you can start to set up other family users. So I've again logged back into the web console. I'm going to hover over admin towards the top right and then click on user manager. From here, I'm going to click on the family users tab. So I'm now back on the family users tab. I'm then going to click create user towards the top right. I'm again going to use existing P1 and P2 data and click create. And there are some siblings in the school who have, and therefore going forward, the family app, family users will be able to just access both their children within the one app. So I'm going to search for the name. I know I've got a couple of siblings. So I've got Sam Green and Claire Green, and their parents are Sally and Brett. So what I can then do for these is I'm going to select both the learners' details, and then I'm going to create the family accounts at the same time. So I selected both the learners on the left, and then I'm going to click create towards the top left. And then what we can then see is we've now created 2 more family users. The parents, we've got Sally Green and Brett Green. And we can now see though for these parents and family members, they have access to 2 children within their one account. So Sally and Brett both have access to both of their children, Sam Green and Claire Green. Again, it's brought through their access what we've already set. What we can now see is that these family members haven't already been sent a password. So if they had already been using their online accounts, if they had the same password for both of their children, then it would bring across their password and they would continue to be able to use the same password. If they had different passwords for each of their online accounts for their children, then it would bring across one. Can't exactly tell you which one it brings. So they could either try both alternatives, or you may just decide to reset their password. But in this case, anyway, we do need to reset the password because there's no known password for these users. So in that example, what we would do when there's a yellow exclamation mark to the right-hand side, instead of before where we just sent credentials, this time we're going to reset the password. So I'd scroll across to the left. I would tick the people that I want to reset the password to. I won't actually do this because these are made up people. But then what I would do is click reset password towards the top left. And then these family users, Sally and Brett, would be sent their login information containing a new password for them to be able to access the family accounts. I do just want to set up one more family user so you can see the process from start to finish when you need to send out and reset their password. So I'm going to click create user towards the top right again. I'm going to use existing P1 and P2 data and then click create. The next learner that I want to create the family user for is Simon Wood. So parent is Barry Wood, and here's his email address. So what I'm going to do is click create on the right hand side. It's then being created as before, and I can just click the cross at the top. So as we can see, Barry Wood is another family user who's never been sent a password or hasn't currently got a password that he'd be able to use to log into the EfL family app. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tick the box to the left of the family user's name. And in this case, I want to be able to reset their password. Then they'll be sent a new email containing their new temporary password, which they'll be able to change when next time they log in. So I'm going to click reset password from the top. It shows that the family users I've selected will now be, I can reset the password by clicking reset passwords to confirm it. A green success message at the top right shows that the user account password were reset and they've been sent a new email. And then I can just refresh the screen at the top left just to refresh the screen. And then what we can see for family user Barry Wood, if I scroll to the right hand side, he's now got a active status, and therefore he's now been sent a new email containing his new password. So hopefully that's given you a good idea how you can start to set up your new family users at your school. As ever, always feel free to get in touch if you've got any feedback or you've got any questions at all. You can email us at services@theteachercloud.net. So that's services@theteachercloud.net.